Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm the host of Donna's Edge television and radio talk show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get right home with you in the afternoon. You may find us on television. That's Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com and the biggest radio station in South Carolina. And that is our country station, WZLA 92.9 FM on the dial, and all the social media sites as well. You know where to go. Continue sending email, Donna at donnasedge.com. That's Donna at donnasedge.com. Always glad to have my friend Don Brown with me. He's running for U.S. Senate. He lives in North Carolina, and I'm just telling you, North Carolina is going to get some snow or ice or something. Are you prepared for it?
Well, that's what they're saying. You know, I mean, I've got a lot of events scheduled. I got a call from the chair of the Catawba County Republican Party. We've got an event scheduled Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. And he said, the event's still on, but it could be called off because of the snow. So people are kind of like on edge a little bit. As for me, I believe these forecasts when I see them. Somebody joked around, they're calling for 90 inches of snow, and it could happen at any time between 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the next week. So they're calling for a big storm. We will see how it goes. Be ready if it comes, but not ready right now. Too busy having too much fun.
Why don't we just do what my granddad used to say? Don't sweat it. It either is or it ain't. So there you go. I think God plays little games with us too. We think we know it all, and
that's a fact.
So that happens. Okay, so what's going on the trail now? I know you've been really busy.
Yeah, you know, we've been active now for almost a year. You know, we had seems like a dozen candidates jump in the race. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but literally the Thursday and Friday before Christmas, a whole slew of them jumped in at the last minute. You know, but we're running hard. We're working hard. We still believe we got a shot at pulling this thing off. We're intending to do that. It's a full schedule today. I'm in Charlotte in the morning for a luncheon, I should say, with a Charlotte Mecklenburg Greater Republican Women of Greater Charlotte. Republican, let me make sure I get them right. Republican Women of Greater Charlotte, and then headed tonight to Cumberland County to Fayetteville, home of Fort Bragg, for another event. And to tell you the truth, Donna, I only can tell you what's right in front of my nose at the moment. Tomorrow is going to be another big busy day, so we're just we're keeping the trail very, very hot, and we've been all over the state. We're going to continue to do that right up through March 3rd. We're going to pull off a shocker, and it's going to send shockwaves around the nation, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Now, has the idea of or questions of the people in North Carolina changed any? Because you know, it kind of varies because we're hearing things about the economy, good things, bad things. I'm in a good economy, so I mean, I don't know why some folks would think.
A lot of the gloom and doom over the economy is just BS pushed by the Democrats. Gasoline prices have dropped over $1 since Biden came in. Grocery prices have stabilized. We want to bring them down, but the point I'm making everywhere I go is if you really want to look at the problem with the cost of living, you can look straight at Obamacare and healthcare costs. You know, I got zapped by the Democrat-Republican Party. But the Democrat Party zapped me about a couple of weeks ago because I called for the repeal of Obamacare. And I hit them back and said, you want to debate the Obamacare? Let's go. Let's do it. Because nobody can say that the cost of insurance has come down since they rammed it down our throat. Nobody can say, you know, that the efficiency of delivery of healthcare systems have improved. We have people here in North Carolina that have cancer. They can't get in to see an oncologist for weeks. The cancer metastasizes. That's why they're waiting. Same with cardiologists. Same with orthopedists. We will debate the Obamacare all day long. Is the biggest problem the cost of living issues, and we're going to lay that straight at the feet of the Democrats, and we're going to make them pay for it. So, but in terms of the overall cost of living, the gasoline prices, you know, it's slipped below $2 at some places in South Carolina, right there in your new home state, and in Fayetteville and North Carolina, it's way down, and so that's a big help, especially when you're running all across the state all week long, and gasoline prices can mount up. We're grateful for the lower prices.
Oh, yeah. And the message has changed quite a bit. And another thing I'm noticing is people who really care about the country are not stabilized like they were since Trump has come in. In other words, I'm getting my voice out better now
Yeah,
since
right,
Trump is the
right,
president. But what I'm
right.
noticing is, okay, so I was in Alabama yesterday. I was taking care of a bunch of sponsors down there. We did some remotes and that kind of thing yesterday. But Gadsden, Alabama, where Bobby Ledbetter, Twin City Youth Cars is. So I went down there just last week, and so there were a lot of arrests made down there, and people are able to be more vocal about that. What do you say about it?
When you look at the total number of ICE arrests or Border Patrol arrests under Trump versus Obama, Clinton, and Bush 43, Trump
Yeah.
is not even half where those guys were. And of course, when Obama was in, and Tom Homan worked for Obama too and got the Presidential Medal of Freedom, he's very good at what he does. You didn't hear the left-wing media going out bellyaching and complaining and bitching like they're doing now. They're doing it now simply because it's Trump. But I'll tell you this. I'll say to anybody that wants to complain about anything you see on the news, that first of all, they're inflaming, the media is inflaming the situation and make it appear to be some sort of, totalitarian takedown, which is ridiculous. You didn't hear them say anything when this is happening under Obama. And beyond that, the problem we've got now is because Biden opened the borders and just let them flood the borders with millions and millions and millions of illegals. Let them come across the border. You and me, they want us to take a jab. You and I did not take the jab, but they try to force us to take the jab. But they could care less about these illegals streaming across the border, never taking the jab, bringing all kinds of stuff in here, tuberculosis, you name it. We've heard all kinds of diseases they brought in because of Democrats' foolish border policies. As I've mentioned many times, and I'll say it again, we lost more Americans in 1 year to fentanyl than in 10 years of the Vietnam War. These drugs that Democrats have allowed to come in have been weapons of mass destruction. So the policies of ICE and the Border Patrol are directly necessary because of what the Democrats did. And one final point on this, this idiot Obama lets in 70,000 Afghans after that ridiculous debacle under which we, just shut everything down and gave them billions in equipment. He let 70,000 Afghans in without vetting them. It was one of those Afghans that killed that poor young lady who was a soldier in the West Virginia National Guard doing her duty in Washington, D.C. These Islamists are coming in without any checks. And so what ICE is doing, what Border Patrol is doing, is a direct result of necessity because of how the Democrats opened the borders and let every Tom, Dick, and dangerous Harry into this country.
Okay, now while we're still on that topic, I have a concern. I have boots on the ground, so I'm just a normal walking around gum chewing American. With all the rest of the normal walking around gum chewing Americans, and what we have noticed is, first of all, these folks were being brought into the bigger cities, the bigger towns. Okay, you're looking at Birmingham, Alabama, you look at Charlotte, this kind of areas. But what we're noticing now is they were brought into the small towns. And in a lot of cases, they're still there. Should that be a concern for us?
Of course, it should be a concern for a number of reasons. In the rural areas, and we know we've gotten information, for example, of a the possibility of some sort of a camp, an Islamic camp, out in York County, South Carolina, and they're able to hide in rural areas sometimes more easily than even in urban areas where you have all kinds of surveillance cameras and a bigger police presence. It should absolutely be a concern. And when they spring into action, you never know where they're going to spring. Now, having said that, for any Islamists out there thinking you're going to try some kind of crap in rural South Carolina, North Carolina, we are armed, understand, more so than they are in a big city. So it kind of cuts both ways. But absolutely, we should be concerned, not only because of the danger that Sharia brings, not only because of that, but also because of the philosophical infiltration they're trying to engage in. You got a lot of this anti-Semitism going on now, where they're at war with Jews and with the Israeli state because we've opened the door for Islamic immigration into this country, and it's gotten out of control. I mean, I had a liberal friend of mine try to make the point. Well, there are more illegals in Florida than in Minnesota, so. Let me see, Florida Republican, Minnesota Democrat, it must be political. No, that what the liberal friend fails to understand is that in Minnesota and Michigan, what you have is you have Islamic illegals and you have Somalis. You have people who are committed to Sharia law. They're far more dangerous than a typical Hispanic illegal who's over here illegally trying to get a job, but isn't necessarily going to blow the daggone side of the wall up. So you got to think through these things.
Let's talk about the Don Lemon episode, and I'm calling it an episode. So what's happening? What's wrong with this guy? How can anything he has done be correct, and how could you possibly go into a church and disrupt services?
Well, glad you brought that up. I was interviewed yesterday by the OAE and Pentagon correspondent, Alexandra Ingersoll. We're talking about this very thing. And this dumb idiot, Don Lemon, goes in, there's a First Amendment. We got a First Amendment. Well, we do have a First Amendment. Here's the first point. The First Amendment of the Constitution guarantees freedom of speech in the public square, not in a private space. So you and Phil own that space. You control that studio there. Nobody can come in there and just say whatever they want to say. You can tell them to get out. Now, out on the public sidewalk, that's different. Out on the courthouse steps, you can say whatever you want to say. But this idiot Don Lemon or Lemon or whatever his name is doesn't seem to understand the First Amendment. Of course, they don't understand the Constitution anyway, and they want it destroyed. He needs to be prosecuted. There's a thing called the FACE Act, F-A-C-E. It was rammed through by the Democrats in 1994, signed by Bill Clinton. At that time, Tom Foley was the Speaker of the House. And they used it to prosecute Christians who basically have been praying outside of abortion clinics. They went after Paul Vaughn, a father of 12 in Tennessee, about just a few months after Roe versus Wade was overturned in the Dobbs case. They went after Mark Houck. I've talked about him before in your show. He's a Catholic guy up in Philadelphia who is pro-life. Went after him, and that suit failed. They prosecuted an 89-year-old concentration camp survivor in Tennessee named Ava Edel, who, by the way, is from South Carolina, was out there praying. They used the FACE Act for that, but they rammed the FACE Act down our throats and said, well, it also will protect Christians because Section B of the FACE Act says you can't obstruct, impede, or interfere with religious services either. But yet the Justice Department has never prosecuted anybody for that. We're going to see what Pam Bondi's made out of. She needs to prosecute, out of Don Lemon or Don Lemon and his merry band of communists under the FACE Act and make them do what they said it was going to do. Well, it'll protect Christians. It's kind of interesting. You have an act that, on the one hand, protects abortion clinics. And on the other hand, it's supposed to protect Christians. We couldn't have anything more opposite than abortionists and Christians juxtaposed beside each other. But she needs to prosecute the heck out of them. This is going to be a moment of truth for Pam Bondi. It's time for Pam Bondi to put up or shut up, to deliver or resign. I'm probably going to go out with some statements this week as soon as I can catch my breath on that very, very point. But it's time to see some prosecutions.
Oh, absolutely. But I wanted to mention that, and let's commend the pastor of the church. As a matter of fact, my son was in seminary with this guy at Southeastern University up in North Carolina. So the way he handled everything, even with Lemon, whatever his name is, he was taunting the guy. He was taunting the pastor. He was trying to get him to go off. And I just think the pastor handled it with class. Yeah,
well, and the pastor did handle it with class, and God bless him. But if you don't prosecute these clowns, if they get away with it now, it's going to start a wave. Yeah, we got to get tough with them. They only understand brute force, and that's what it's going to take.
Absolutely.
But you're right. Kudos to the pastor.
Let's go into a commercial break. We'll come right back in just a few minutes.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm the host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show. We're talking to Don Brown, who's an attorney, author, and a speaker. So where can we find your book?
Well, the books you can find at donbrownbooks.com. That's our website, donbrownbooks.com. Go on Amazon, type our name, and we have 16 that have been published, and are happy to autograph any of those for anybody who would like to see them. The most recent was Kangaroo Court, released just before the 24th presidential election, about the Democrats' use of lawfare, unconstitutional lawfare, to subvert free speech. We look at cases going all the way back to when Rick Perry was prosecuted as governor of Texas for vetoing a bill, which is ridiculous. Look at the prosecution against Ted Stevens, a former Alaska senator, which was thrown out after he was convicted and the prosecutor committed suicide. You know, we also look at the prosecution of former governor of Virginia, Bob McDonnell, who was prosecuted by Jack Smith, the same rogue prosecutor that went after President Trump. They got a conviction there, but the Supreme Court reversed that conviction. But we also look at prosecutions against, the Democrats have used against average Americans. Paul Vaughn, a pro-life father. Mark Houck, another pro-life father. The McCloskeys, that was the couple that held the gun, when the mob was going through their front yard in St. Louis, prosecuted by a Soros prosecutor. We look at these cases to show how the Democrats have bastardized the court system over the years. So that's Kangaroo Court. Happy for anybody to read. We appreciate our readers, and writing is my favorite pastime. As soon as this campaign's over, I'm going to try to get back to it. But I appreciate you mentioning that, Donna, for the opportunity to plug a couple of books.
Absolutely. Now let's go ahead and talk about the endorsements. You've got some notable ones.
Well, we do, and we're very grateful. We have been endorsed by General Mike Flynn, the 24th National Security Advisor of the United States. General Flynn is a true patriot and American. I get in the foxhole with that guy any day. And I would also get in the foxhole with Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, who's endorsed our campaign. General Boykin was the commander of the United States Delta Forces. I mean, this guy is incredible. and has taken bullets for his country and nearly gave his life for his country. Is currently the vice president of the Family Policy Council, working alongside Tony Perkins. So General Bookins endorsed us. Sidney Powell, the great patriot attorney, has endorsed us. We're grateful for that. I've worked with Sidney on some of the election irregularities of 2020, if you want to call them that. That's just being very generous. The election steal, when you get right down to it. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West has endorsed us, one of the great patriots. I go to war with any of those guys. We were recently endorsed by Brooke McGowan, who lost by a whisker as the grassroots favorite to become chair of the North Carolina Republican Party, one of the most popular Republican women in the state of North Carolina, and one of us. We've been endorsed by my former opponent, Andy Nilsson, who was in the race with us, and Andy is a true patriot, and by a number of grassroots organizations too. North Carolina Patriot Alliance has endorsed us, big one. North Carolina Veterans Party has endorsed us, and so our endorsements are local and they're grassroots. We're very proud of them. We have more endorsements than any other candidate, and we're expecting some others that may be on the way within the next few days. So thank you for the opportunity to speak about that just a little bit.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about taxes. I know South Carolina is trying to put something into place right now. What ideas do you have for North Carolina? So, those North Carolinians would like to not pay taxes on their homes that they already own.
Well, property taxes are a problem. I'm philosophically opposed to property taxes, especially on your home. Goodness gracious. I mean, if I have a home and I have it paid for, but yet if I don't make property taxes to the state and they can still take it, then I don't really own the home. And of course, the abolition of property taxes is going to be something that states are going to have to deal with because they are state taxes. But at the very least, you could at least start by abolishing property taxes for first-time homeowners to help, younger people get into the market, and for people over 65 or retired. Those folks shouldn't have to be subject to property taxes. I want to see them all abolished. Of course, my mantra is the only good tax is a repealed tax anyway. But I hate these things. And, in some states, like, for example, Texas, which has no income taxes, the property taxes are out the roof. It's unbelievable. Some of the property taxes are more than mortgages themselves would be. But it is an affront to people. It is a handcuff and clasp against freedom. I'd like to see them all abolished.
Well, so let me ask you a question. You're in the legal systems, and you would know this more than I do. So what happens if someone didn't pay their taxes? Do they lose their home to the state or to the federal? I mean, how does that work?
Well, it depends if it's a property tax. There are various types of tax attachments that can come against a property. You could have a federal tax lien go against your property. In other words, if you didn't pay your federal income taxes, they could put a tax lien and the feds could take your house. But if you don't have a federal tax lien, you just don't pay your property taxes, they can come in and they can foreclose on the house, take the house and sell it, pay the taxes off. Now, if the state came in and took your house, let's say your house worth $500,000 and you had a property tax due of $5,000, the state can come in and sell the house. They'll be required to give you the overage. In other words, if they sold it for $500,000, they'd be required to give you the rest of the money, but they can still take your house. And so that's the way it would work. They would set a notice of foreclosure, they put it on the market, and they sell it, because it's a tax lien on it. So a tax lien can be state or federal. Failure to pay property taxes would be a state tax lien. Failure to pay income taxes would be a federal tax lien. So it just depends on the type of tax lien that's attached to that. Either way. Now, some states, of course, have homestead exemptions, which protect a home from judgments, like legal judgments. Florida and others, your home could be protected, but not for property taxes. The one thing they can always use to take the home, as long as those property tax laws are still in place.
Okay, so on property taxes, if someone did not, we just paid ours, and I'm just saying a big ouch to that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, if you did not pay it, would interest and penalties keep accruing until you did pay it, or how would that?
Well, depends on the state. South Carolina and North Carolina different, but very similar. And Florida, Alabama, all states set their own property taxes. But yes, ordinarily interest would accrue, and they would try to force you to pay the interest compounded on top of the interest for the number of years it has been paid. That is something they would try to do. Most of the taxing authorities will negotiate that down. So let's say you had 2 or 3 years you hadn't paid. and you went to them and said, okay, I'll pay the interest, the principal only. Sometimes they would allow for that, but generally they will start by trying to lop on penalties and interest.
Mm-hmm. Now, remember back in the Lois Lerner years, okay, I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina then, went to a patriotic party, I would say. It was a tea party. And so Sarah Palin was there. And so Phil is calling me. Remember how liberal the news media there is in Charlotte.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So Phil was sending me a text saying, get out of there. And I was like, why? It was like there was nothing going on. They were acting as if we were just like, I don't know where they were getting this footage from, but it's as if we were just doing riots and all this kind of stuff. But it was very, very informed. It was very, we were all behaving ourselves. It's not like, Democrats made it together. So I said, there's nothing happening here. And he said, well, I'm seeing footage of people being dragged away from your meeting and all this. And I said, no, it's not happening here. I promise you it's not. After that, a few years later, I received, and I know that's not happened. So a few years later, I received a notice from the tax division here that we owed like $10,000 in taxes. They guesstimated that we didn't, it was like employee taxes or something that we didn't pay. Interest and penalties, they visualized it being $2,000, again, they guesstimated, but it winds up with interest and penalties being $10,000. Okay, we did not owe that. We did not. As a matter of fact, thank God Phil didn't listen to me this time. We were moving back to Alabama, and I said, let's throw all that crap away because we're not going to use that anymore. They only go back 7 years, and Phil said, I don't trust it. We're bringing it with us, boxes of tax stuff in the business.
Yeah, right.
Well, we were able to prove, we had to prove to them we did not owe it. That they had
if you hadn't done that, they would just assess it, and most people would just roll over. So Phil's instincts and advice were right on mark as always. But it's ridiculous. They'll just assess an amount, and most people will pay. And you're guilty until proven innocent under this corrupt tax system we have all the way across the boards.
Yeah, well, I know under your leadership, it's going to be a lot easier on North Carolinians. Okay, we're pretty close to the end of the show. So how can folks get in contact with you? How can folks volunteer and give to your campaign?
Thank you, Donna. Go to Brown, BROWN for FORNC, brown4nc.com, and click that donate button. We know all the help we can get. We're down to crunch time. March 3rd is the primary. We need to raise as much money as we can. We're buying some radio spots. We're doing some things to try to get our message out. We need all the help we can get. You can also go in there and correspond with me and volunteer, brown4nc.com. Appreciate it very much.
Oh, absolutely. Any last words? We've got about a minute left.
Well, the nation's in trouble. We elected Donald Trump to drain the swamp, to cut this outrageous spending, and to prosecute these communists that try to bring our country down. We're not there yet. We've got work to do. The National Republican Party has failed us. It's got to step up its game. I'm going to bring the torch of freedom to Washington and force the United States Senate and the Congress to step its game up and get some of these objectives accomplished that we were promised when we voted for President Trump.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Don, for being with us on the show. It's always great to have you. Continue sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com, Donna@donnasedge.com. Again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Donna.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Because of your overwhelming support, our 1488 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing. including my classic standard My Pillows, only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic My Pillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.